So this is going to be a really short talk. They're supposed to be short talks. This is going to be a really short talk, thereby giving Patrick and Linda even more time to be less short. So what I want to talk about is your own personal productivity as you work. So you work hard. Everybody who goes to this conference is pretty much an amazing, awesome developer. I've met 2 or 3 of you, and I can generalize to the 1,000 people who are here that you write some code and you go back and you go, I am so awesome. Okay, so I know you guys are all awesome. You're here, and very quickly you get promoted into positions of more and more authority and influence and leadership, sometimes with titles and sometimes even with more salary, never with business cards. So what happens when you're promoted? Well, you get more responsibility and you start working on more things, and you're learning about more NoSQL this and Web 2.0, 4.0, 7.0 this, and all of a sudden you start failing. So you've gone from being totally awesome to being totally overwhelmed. So what's the problem here? The problem is there's too much to do. In any given day, when you have things to do, there's way too many things to do. There's way too much email, but there's also way too many tasks and all sorts of things that you need to do. And so one of the things that I give advice to people, and I've done in my own life, and other people have asked me for advice, is, well, how do you make sure that you're doing the right things and you continue to succeed in the face of way too many things to do? And so if you've seen Stephen Covey's quadrants, where he sets out, what's important versus what's not important, and what's urgent versus what's not urgent, this is really the key to how you decide what you want to do in any given day, any given week, any given month. Of course, you want to be doing the things that are urgent and important, or not urgent and important, over, in fact, the things that are not urgent and not important, like reading the web news and that sort of thing. Okay, what I'm telling you here isn't new. Many people know about this quadrant, and they go, yeah, I should be doing the important things, urgent or not urgent. The question is, how do you make that happen? Because everybody knows you should be doing the important stuff, but we tend not to. Well, I'm telling you, here's the secret, and it's really simple. You make a list. Okay, everybody makes lists. I happen to use paper. I know that's sort of an old technology. It's done by cutting down trees, and then you pulp them up and stuff like this. You could also use computers. And you write the things down on paper, and you cross them off. The trick to making a list, and that's the whole point of this entire talk, is you order it by importance, right? So you want to put the things at the top of the list that are the important things, and the things at the bottom of the list that are the unimportant things. And so here's a list I made one day. I needed to talk to my boss on a crisis that was important and urgent. I had a couple important things here, like making my talk, and a few other unimportant things, like reviewing the projects and that sort of thing. So when people tend to make lists, and this is why I thought I'd give this little talk, they tend to make lists in the order that they're going to do them that day. So you start with, well, the first thing I'm going to do in the morning is I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this other thing, and I'm going to do this third thing. But that's not the way you should be making the list. You should be making the list in the order of importance to do that day. So in fact, on this particular day when I started, I came in the morning and I started doing a couple things down here which were less important, because those are the first things that I needed to do that day, but they weren't the most important things I needed to do that day. Okay? So why is making lists, besides I think it's a fabulous thing to do, a good idea? Well, you need to develop a habit of making sure that you're doing that, ordering by priority instead of by time. And if you make these lists every day, and this is my argument, you can reflect on what you're doing and improve on that. And so one of the key things that you need to do in that list is you need to write down everything you do. So you make a list at the beginning of the day, you order it by importance, you start working on things, and then Eno shows up and says, hey, can you do an extra talk for the conference? I'm like, oh, well, I could do that. And so then you add that to the list so that you keep track of it. And what you do is you've got a stack of these things, and you do your personal agile process, right? So one of the things about agile is it's a cycle where you do a little bit of planning. I mean, it could be just a day's worth of planning called a list, and you do it, and then at the end of the day, you retrospect on it, or at the end of the week, you retrospect on it, and you see how well you're doing on those things, and then you use that feedback to improve your own process of whether you're doing the important things first or just the things that get you satisfaction first. I mean, one of the problems with being developers is it's really tempting to just write some more code and try it out again. I don't think you can be a developer if you don't have that sort of addictive personality where the next time I try this piece of code, it's going to work, right? We're all sort of gamblers. We wouldn't be in this business if we didn't, because nothing's ever perfect. And so you're really tempted to do something short and small and get a quick win, even though it might not be the most important thing. So that's what I had to say.